Now to a break in these freezing temperatures we've been having for what, 17, 18 days, I think, in a row, and a bit of a warm up today. You would think that's really good news for everybody.
That is true. That is nice for us, but risky for rivers and the lake as these conditions can trigger ice jams, and that's what our team is looking into tonight.
Betsy explains the warm-up alone does not tell the whole story. Natalie Clydesdale is checking conditions along the Chagrin River, but first, we want to go to Amaya Ward, who's reporting from out west along the Vermilion River. Amaya, I understood you talked to officials today. What did they tell you?
Yeah, hey, Christy. City leaders say what happens next on the river can determine whether businesses and homes stay dry or flood. And flooding here doesn't happen slowly. City officials say when ice jams form, water has nowhere to go and it rises fast. That's why homes and businesses along the Vermilion River are built close together, some elevated, shaped by years of experience with high water. After nearly 20 straight days of below freezing temperatures, officials say the ice left behind is thicker than normal, making this the most critical situation the city faces every winter.
What we always hope for, because I lived right on the river myself, what you always hope for is a slow, steady thaw. Not too quick, because if it does quick, then the ice starts to jam up as it's trying to get out of here.
Right now, leaders say the concern is timing. Ice that's too thick, lake levels that are lower than usual, and a thaw that could happen too fast. If ice piles up instead of clearing out, docks can be overtopped and water can spill into neighborhoods and riverfront businesses that know all too well when flooding becomes a safety issue. Ice-breaking operations remain the city's most important line of defense, but officials say all they can do now is monitor conditions closely and be ready. In a city built around the river, everyone understands what's at stake. And businesses along the river say there's not much they can do to prepare besides just wait and see. We're now going to go to Natalie Clydesdale, who's in Willoughby Hills along the Chagrin River. Natalie, how's it looking out there?
Hey, Amaya. Well, so far, we're not seeing any issues here, but Fire Chief Robert Gandy says that this is something that can change very quickly, so they're keeping a very close eye on it. He says that about 200 homes in the River Valley area could potentially see some level of flooding if things do take a turn. Earlier today, Chief Gandy explained that the prolonged bitter cold that we experienced over the last few weeks likely led to very thick ice forming on the river. And as temperatures rise, river ice begins to crack and move and can pile up at bends, bridges, or shallow sections of the river, blocking the water flow. And when that happens, water can back up quickly, sometimes leading to sudden flooding. Today, I spoke with residents who have lived along Milan Drive for years. They say this is a situation that they are unfortunately very familiar with.
You want a real gradual thaw, ideally, but when it gets up to like 50 and stays there for a week or so, everybody down here gets a little nervous. Definitely causes a lot of stress.
And hopefully we can skate through this without any kind of flooding event. That's our hope.
Residents are encouraged to be prepared and sign up for emergency alerts so they can be notified quickly if flooding develops. And officials also warn against walking on frozen lakes or rivers because it can be so dangerous. Russ and Christy.
All right, Natalie, thank you so much.
Let's get to Betsy now. All right, here we go.
Yeah, well, we are on watch mode for the ice jams. Nothing imminent is happening. There's more than just the temperature rise that we have to take into consideration. We also need incoming rain. That's what's really going to break the ice. And we do not have any incoming rain coming anytime soon. We also have to take into consideration how much water content is in the snow that's on the ground. And at the same time, you have to look at each individual river and creek and streams drainage pattern and the routing that all of that water and ice will eventually have to take. So if we're going to just look at how much snow is on the ground right now, we have anywhere from 3 to 10 to 12 inches of snow on the ground. But the water equivalent of how much snow is on the ground changes greatly from place to place. This numbers that you see here on the map, that's how much snow on average is on the ground. But we have 1 to 3 inches of water contained in the snowpack on the ground that is out east. And that is probably the area that if we're going to have problems would be problem number one. Areas then generally to the east of I-77, about a ½ inch to upwards of 2 inches of water in the snowpack, and farther west, much less. And that is because the snow that we did get was very light, very fluffy, and it was a dry snow. We have not had wet, heavy snow for quite some time. I mentioned the routing, and remember the rivers that spill northward into Lake Erie, all the river ice tries to move into the lake, but we have a lot of ice on the lake too, and that can push back. So that's going to be kind of the third step in this process of thawing out over the next couple of weeks. Russ?
All right, Betsy, we'll see you later. Thank you.